My name is Sammy Valafar, and today we're going to cover how to install the View Development Suspension Bushing Kit for NA and NB Mazda Miata. Here are your two View Development Suspension Bushing Kits. You have a front suspension set and a rear suspension set. Over here you have all of the install tools from our install toolkit that is also available for purchase to make installing these a lot easier. Just want to let everyone know you don't necessarily need the install toolkit to install these bushings, but it does make it a lot easier, a lot more efficient, a lot faster, and a lot more precise. You're going to need a drill, some blue Loctite, you're going to need a little bit of brake cleaner, and you're going to need something to drive the tap that is going to come with your install toolkit. It's going to come with what we call the drill bar. This is what's going to help you drill your set screw holes. 2 Allen wrenches. 1 Allen wrench is to attach the drill bar to these location pieces. It's also going to come with 2 very sharp drill bits to help make your job faster and easier, as well as a 5mm by 0.8 tap. The drill size is 4.2 millimeters. So that covers what you're going to need to get started on installing the View Development Suspension Bushing Kit. We're going to go ahead and install what we call Suspension Bushing A. Suspension Bushing A is located in the front upper control arm. So the last letter designates which bushing it is. So this would be suspension bushing number A. So we're going to go ahead and pull 2 of those. So those are both suspension bushing A. Here in our diagram, it shows use bushing A along with install tool A. You can clearly see the set of A install bushing tools. So we're going to go ahead and use these 2 bushing install tools along with a drill and a tap and set screws to install these into the front upper control arm. So here we have our bushing install tool A with our drill bar, as well as the Allen wrench for these screws and our drill bar screws. We're going to go ahead and install these onto the front control arm bushing tube number A, and this is going to be the procedure to get our set screws drilled. So once you have it situated, you want to kind of squeeze it tight and then just go ahead and tighten these down snug. I like to have the set screws kind of on the bottom side of the control arm. You can see we're looking from the bottom of the control arm. We have the control arm positioned in the vise nice and tight so that this can't move or slip at all. And one thing I forgot to talk about earlier is good to have some kind of cutting fluid. This is rapid tap. You can use this or anything like it just to help keep the drill bit sharp and help the tap cut through the metal. Just a drop of oil in there, maybe a drop of oil on the end of the drill bit, and go ahead and start the drilling. Hold the drill steady and just let the drill do the work. Now that the 2 holes are drilled, we're going to go ahead and show you how to tap these holes with the 5mm by 0.8 thread pitch. So same thing as with the drill bit. I like to add just a tiny bit of oil, locate the tap for you, and do all the work, other than all you have to do is turn the tap. Once you feel the tap kind of stop turning easily, that means it's actually bottomed out. What we just did there, we're going to repeat for the other side, and the drilling and tapping operation for that bushing will be complete. It's very important to keep things clean when you're dealing with drilling and tapping, getting the oil and the metal shavings out of there. So what I like to do is use a handy shop vac and just take a few seconds and vacuum all the shavings and all the oil out. And that concludes our quick shop vac vacuuming operation. Now the next step is to check the fitment of how this bushing fits into the bushing tube. So the next step is to kind of check the fitment here. So checking the fitment here, you can see that I can't quite push this bushing all the way through. We're going to go ahead and ream this bushing tube that was slightly tight, just a few drops in the middle, and then we'll go ahead and proceed with the reaming process. Give that a check and we'll see if that was enough. We've reamed this bushing tube that was a little bit tight out for a few seconds. As you can see, it was probably maybe 10 seconds or something like that. And as you can see, it goes through now. It's not fighting us. So now we're ready to begin the actual set screwing down of these bushings using the set screws. So I like to use a rag and just spray a little brake cleaner where we did our threads. I just like to spray a little on the rag and just kind of clean the inside of the bushing tube. We're going to locate this perfectly center in the bushing tube. We're going to use our same install tools for number A, and we're going to pop them in there. So we're going to use our vise again. Your bushing kit is going to have a bag that looks like this in it. Use these set screws to start locking down the bushing. Your install kit's going to come with the appropriate Allen wrench. Just go ahead and lock it down. I've only locked down one because what we're going to do for extra security, we're going to take our drill, and the one that we have not locked down yet, we're going to go ahead and drill a small little pilot hole for about 10 seconds. About 10 seconds. There's our divot hole. It's a little bit of brake cleaner just to get any metal shavings out of there. Put a dab of blue Loctite in the hole. We're going to go ahead and do the same for the other side. We're going to pull this out. It was just a placeholder while we were doing the other one. Repeat the process about 10 seconds. Go ahead and lock it down. We don't have an entire car here. We have just the front subframe, which is the area that the front upper control arm would bolt to. The front bushing, the one facing most forward of the car, is already locked down, set screwed, Loctited, divoted, and 100% ready to go. The rear bushing is still loose. It's not final tightened. We went ahead and started the set screws, but they are not tight yet. So what we're going to demonstrate here, we're going to go ahead and actually mock install the front upper control arm to the mock vehicle. We're going to actually torque this down to half of the spec. Not the full spec, but half of the spec. Normally when I work on these cars, I torque this bolt to about 90. So we're going to go ahead and torque to 45, and if we torque this to the full 90 for the mock install, we may have some issues. We want to make sure this is articulating smoothly, which it is. And now what we want to do, we want to go ahead and lock down these set screws. This is our final location for the rearward bushing in the front upper control arm. Now what we're going to do, now that we've located that, we're going to go ahead and remove this arm off the vehicle, go back and do our divoting and Loctiting process, one set screw at a time, so we don't lose the location. Final tighten that and reinstall it on the car. Now we're going to go ahead and drive it out with an impact gun. there we go. The bushing's been removed. We're going to go ahead and cover the rear lower control arm outside bushings. Those bushings are labeled E. This one is not even really starting, so that one may need a little more reaming. So we've reamed it enough now where we're able to go all the way through. It is a little tight, but it's acceptable. And now we can prepare and move on for reaming the other side. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and locate and center the forwardmost rear lower control arm bushing. This is tool E. So we'll go ahead and pop those in. As you can see, our bushing is already in there. Go over here to our vise and lock it down. Now we're going to get ready to install the set screws. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put one set screw in and lock it down nice and snug. I'm going to go ahead and divot this bushing right here. Get our set screw. Go ahead and lock that down nice and snug. Repeat the exact process that I just showed you. You will repeat this process for just about every single bushing on the entire suspension, with the exception of the rear outer lower control arm and the front upper control arm. That position and the front upper control arm are the only areas on the suspension where you have to worry about that. The entire rest of the suspension and the suspension bushings will be installed in this manner that was just demonstrated to you now. So we're going to go ahead and locate the rear lower control arm most rearward control arm bushing. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and slide it in. As you can see, these set screws are not tight, they're just started. We're going to go ahead and put the spindle on. And then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to torque this bolt to half of the factory spec. Factory spec is roughly about 50 pounds. We're going to go ahead and torque it to half of that spec. Run these set screws down. We want to make sure we have good articulation, which we do. And demonstrate the divoting and Loctite process for the set screws. These have already been locked down. This bushing's already been located relative to the spindle and half of the torque setting of the rear outer lower control arm bolt. I'm going to go ahead and remove only one set screw. I'm going to go ahead and drill the divot for just a few seconds. So that one is locked down. We'll now remove the other side and repeat that exact process that we showed you. So these are both now fully locked down. They've been Loctited. Nothing's going to come out. The final step, your spindle, and just make sure that everything is still fitting. So as you can see, the spindle still goes in. It goes through. Everything is fitting as it should. There's no side load on these bushings that's unnecessary, and you'll have good service life and excellent use out of your bushings as long as you install them this way and do everything correctly.